All right, time to instant react. It is 4:11. Instantly react, that is. Off we go. It's the 4th of November. Trade deadline has now passed. It's in the rearview mirror, and the Ravens go quiet. Eric DeCosta and his front office do in the waning hours on the final day of this annual NFL trade deadline. So we'll get into how he should be graded out, the entire front office, where the Ravens go from here. There will not be any more NFL trades until March 11th of 2026. You have the waiver wire, of course, but let's be honest, when it comes to that systematic placement within the NFL, those are modest moves at best. And ultimately, there were a lot of moves made today. Matter of fact, a number of blockbuster moves made today, and the Ravens were not among them. So let's get into it. The guest lines are open. If you'd like to share a thought with me, you can click on the link that I have included right now as a pinned comment in the live chat. Today's instant reaction is brought to you by my friends at Preston Automotive Group. You can scan the QR code in the upper right-hand corner if you're in the market for a new or pre-owned vehicle. We'll get to them in just a bit. Before we talk about the here and now and what the Ravens missed out on, perhaps, and what their now reality is, here is the AFC playoff picture. This is the way that it looks entering Week 10. If the postseason began today, the Colts, who just acquired Sauce Gardner from the Jets for a boatload of assets, including 2 first-round picks, would be your top seed and, of course, earn that first-round bye. Denver at 7-2, a division leader. New England, 7-2, AFC East division leader. And Pittsburgh, of course, at 5-3, leading the AFC North entering Week 10. Buffalo, the Chargers, and Jacksonville would be your wild card teams, and the Ravens, one of 3 in the hunt, along with Kansas City and Houston. I got news for you. I don't think the way that the Ravens are currently constructed defensively gives them a chance to beat the Buffaloes, gives them a chance to beat the Kansas Cities, heck, gives them a chance to beat the Denver Broncos. And we'll see about the rest of the teams in terms of what they're dealing with. The Chargers just got in right before the buzzer rang and traded for Trevor Penning, offensive lineman in New Orleans. Of course, Justin Herbert's lost both of his bookend tackles, Rashawn Slater before the season began, and Joe Alt. As of just yesterday, they shut him down. So that's my look. I don't even think it's a knee-jerk reaction. I think the way the Ravens were constructed prior to the deadline and now post-deadline does not favorably match them up against the AFC elites, nor do I consider them an AFC elite with the way that they're presently constructed. In terms of Eric DeCosta's overall trade deadline, it goes back several weeks, obviously, to a decision that he and his front office made, trading Odafe Oweh and a 2027 7th rounder for Alohi Gilman and a 2026 5th. Alohi, of course, has paid early dividends for this defense and has allowed Zach Orr to unlock Kyle Hamilton and use him more freely. But does it change anything about the pressure or lack thereof up front? Yeah, Kyle Hamilton changes things a bit, certainly, with the impact that he brings to the line of scrimmage. But we know that there's only so far you can take that. Jair Alexander this past weekend in a 2027 7th was sent to Philadelphia for a 2026 6th. And then, of course, last night we learned of the addition of Dre'Mont Jones, edge rusher for the Tennessee Titans. That's in exchange for a conditional 2026 5th. Has the potential of being upgraded to a 2026 4th. The specific condition there from Albert Breer, NFL insider, if Dre'Mont has at least 2 sacks over the rest of the regular season and the Ravens go on to make the playoffs, Tennessee gets a 4th round pick rather than a 5th round pick. Look, this is underwhelming. I don't think this moves the needle by any stretch of the imagination. And I would imagine some of you are punching air out there because you saw some big names come off the board today. I bookmarked a couple tweets that just came out a short while ago that I didn't have a chance to throw into the slides just for timing purposes. Adam Schefter notes that despite getting calls for Jalen Waddle and Bradley Chubb, the Dolphins did not make another deal before the deadline and opted to hold on to both. We got a good look at Bradley Chubb on Thursday night last week. Albert Breer noted the Jets were looking for a 2nd-round pick for Jermaine Johnson and a 3rd-round pick for Breece Hall. Both players remain in New York. There were 6 trades today, and this was 50 minutes ago, so you might add a 7th onto that. That was tied for the 3rd most on any trade deadline day going back to 1990. Again, the Ravens were not among those. So there you have it. I think the Ravens defense got better. I think the Ravens were safely smart, perhaps, when it comes to protecting their assets, not overpaying. But then again, you have not replaced Nnamdi Madubuike. You have not replaced Michael Pierce, who retired. And you have not adequately replaced Kevin Zeitler, who you allowed to walk several years ago on the offensive side of the ball at right guard. Those are 3 glaring deficiencies that the Ravens are inevitably going to have to answer for moving forward should things not be turned around wholeheartedly between now and the end of the regular season. Yes, the Jets essentially gave up and went on a fire sale today. It began with Sauce Gardner. It ended with Quinnen Williams. We'll get to those specifics in just a bit. Eric DeCosta and company, as of earlier today, by Jamison Hensley's count, currently have 7 selections in the 2026 NFL Draft. They'll have 1 in the 1st, of course, 1 in the 2nd, 1 in the 3rd, 1 in the 4th, 2 in the 5th, 1 in the 6th, and they could potentially receive 2 compensatory picks in the 5th round. I know you're probably yawning. By losing Brandon Stevens and Patrick McCary in free agency, and another 1 in the 7th. As Jamison also notes, the Ravens have their original picks in the first 5 rounds. They traded the original 6th to New York, meaning the Jets, in 2025. They then went ahead and used the 5th acquired from the Jets in, of course, the trade for Dre'Mont Jones, which came down the pike last night. They traded an original 7th to the Rams for Tre'Davious White last year at the deadline, and they also brought in, obviously, Deontay Johnson. Did not work out whatsoever. So 1 offensive lineman across the board, all in all, and it comes at the tail end of the deadline. Trevor Penning has struggled for the Saints. He goes to a desperate Chargers offensive line. Sauce Gardner was sent to the Indianapolis Colts for a couple first-round picks and A.D. Mitchell. Quinnen Williams goes to Dallas, and we should probably touch on that because I think a lot of you are sick over this acquisition. Jerry Jones traded, and I'll have the full compensation in just a second here. But Jerry Jones traded for Quinnen Williams. He's a Pro Bowl defensive tackle, run stuffer specialist, a beast by all accounts. He's out of New York and into Dallas. And the overall compensation, it was a steep price. A 2026 second and a 2027 first. Dallas was able to do this. The first round pick is the Cowboys selection. not Green Bay's. Cowboys are cooking with grease defensively. They got a lot of other things to figure out. But up front, they got two studs, and now Quinnen Williams joins that group. That's a steep asking price, guys. And on the other side, New York just straight up waving the white flag. In 2026, they'll have 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, $117 million of projected cap space, and just $10 million guaranteed to Justin Fields. We'll see what they end up doing with him. Quan says our only hope is when teams get eliminated from playoff contention that some players ask to be released. Give me Howie as GM. Tired of Eric DeCosta. And he's referring to the waiver wire. And because the Ravens have struggled at 3-5 through 8 weeks, through 9 weeks, they will have a better shot at potential veterans that ask to get released and chase championships. Any player that's released by his team is now subject to the NFL's waiver system, as Quan is getting at here. And a note from Brian McFarland. All players released for the balance of the season are now subject to waivers. Kevin Bonham Jr. writes, I don't know if I can believe in EDC anymore. They seem to care more about Orr and Fa'alele than the 2-time MVP. Why even watch this team for real? Taking your overall grades on what was an underwhelming and quiet final few hours. Nightmare Kilo says, this is why we said he's not top 5, Bobby. So who's your top 5, Nightmare? Give me your top 5 GMs. Captain Hard writes, little disappointing. I seen that Dallas gave up a first and a second. That's nothing for the Ravens. C overall trade deadline grade. Shaking my head. Captain also writes, EDC gathered all these picks just to draft a guy that's going to turn out to be okay. Wasted Lamar's rookie contract. When do we get the all-in year? And Jay writes, EDC equals GM malpractice at its finest. A lot of you weighing in. Guest lines are hot right now. Why don't we go to them? Where are you guys at right now with the overall trade deadline grade for Eric DeCosta? You're looking at it up on the screen right now. They began the process last month, bringing in Alohi Gilman, which has paid dividends for a defense that so desperately needed Kyle Hamilton to live in a world where he can be flexible from an alignment standpoint. They also sent Jair Alexander to Philadelphia for a 2026 sixth. Jair was on the outside looking in, did not have a special teams role, and was seen as someone that was obviously behind the likes of Nate Wiggins, Marlon Humphrey, Cheeto, maybe even TJ Tampa as well. Odafe Owe in a contract year goes to the Chargers. And Dre'Mont Green, who's had a stellar last month for a Tennessee team that's going nowhere fast, is brought in last night for a conditional 5th that could be upgraded to a 4th. What are your thoughts, guys? Did Eric DeCosta do enough? And do you believe that the Ravens have what it takes to compete with the AFC elites? Are they still capable of representing the AFC elite status when it's all said and done a couple months from now? To the guest lines we go. Tyler, your instant reaction now that we're about 25 minutes past the trade deadline. Welcome to the program. What's going on, dude?
What's going on? I would rate it probably like a C+, and it would have been a B if we would have replaced Jair. I don't blame them for not spending first-round picks on players, but it is kind of concerning when we trade a corner, get 14 mil in cap, and then don't do anything with it. So we'll see. Dre'mont Jones, though, was a 3-tech at Ohio State, and he was insane. I mean, that's 7 years ago. We'll see. Maybe he can play that into. We get something out of Peebles later on.
Yeah, he's been inactive the last couple of weeks. Thanks for the call, man. And can you believe I just Draymond? Who do you think got that into my head earlier, huh? Son of a Dre'mont Jones. Excuse my French, not Draymond Green. Well, the Ravens might be able to use him up front, don't you think? Excuse me. Dre'mont Jones. Son of a contagious from earlier today. Guest lines are open. Appreciate you guys for being with me. Juice Box. Talk to me, brother. Your thoughts on the trade deadline?
Yeah, well, it sucked. First of all, it really did. Like, dude, I'm so tired. I'm so tired and frustrated as a Ravens fan for us to get all of these picks. And somebody already said it, and they hit it on the head. Like, what's the sense of picking 11 nobodies and maybe getting 1 or 2 that kind of stick? Like the Quentin Williams, that was us. We as Ravens, we are so good that we pick so far down in the draft that most of the time we get people like Malachi who could be good. We don't know yet. You know what I'm saying? And then for a second round pick, we got Mike Green just because of the stuff that happened, right? But if I told you can get somebody like Quentin Williams' talent that we all see that he has for a first round pick that's going to be so late that you might as well say it's a glorified second and an actual second, then take it. Like, I don't get it. And then with the Colts, the 2 first round picks, that's the only thing on their team that they really needed. That was good enough for them. But we got to get rid of these picks, dude.
Thanks for the call. Appreciate you, Juice. Later, man. You mentioned the Sauce Gardner acquisition. This came down when we were still on the vault earlier this afternoon, and my, oh my, what a blockbuster deal this was. All in all, the Jets are getting 2 first-round picks and wide receiver A.D. Mitchell for Sauce Gardner. Sauce joins an Indianapolis team that, as of right now, if the postseason began today, which it doesn't, but if it did, they'd be the top overall seed in the AFC that would come with that coveted bye. So, as Tom Pelissero notes here, the Jets now have 3 first-round picks in the 2027 NFL draft, and they've got 2 coming up in April of 2026. So a full-fledged rebuild is on for the New York Jets. From a Ravens perspective, that's obviously what we're talking about right now. DeBruz, how do you grade out Eric DeCosta? You overwhelmed? You yawning? How do you look at this full collective body of work that dated back to early October when they went ahead and traded Odafe Owe for Alohi Gilman? There was some draft compensation there as well. Give me your thoughts, my friend. Welcome back to the program.
My good friend, how you doing? When I hear everybody talk about what we should have did, they also saying we should have got robbed in front of the police station, right? Like, it is what Williams got. We wouldn't. They're not going to give us that, right? Well, we shouldn't have traded a second and a first, because then how do you rebuild for that? We forget that you only have I think you only have 33 people under the cap next year. So you still got to fill out the roster for next year also. But I'm off of that. The only thing that I say is they got a little pass rush. I am concerned about defensive tackle. So here's my proposition. Let's see if we can get the P. Diddy from defensive tackle from the Oakland Raiders, Christian Wilkinson. See if we can get him. Now, I know he's hurt, but he's had 8 games. He would fill a void, give us some pass rush. It wouldn't cost us much because he's still under contract with the Raiders, man. That is my answer to that.
Thanks,
it's a B.
Safe travels out there, my man. You and me both know that the waiver wire, you can only go so far. It's only going to fix so much. And ultimately, the Ravens are in a position where without Nnamdi Madubuike, without Broderick Washington, without Tavius Robinson, 2 of the 3 of those, by the way, I guess technically aren't season ending, but I don't think we're going to be seeing Brody and Ortavius for the foreseeable future. Namdi's down for the year. Michael Pierce retired last season. There's no one that's descending onto Baltimore unless Carl Lawson and Dre'Mont Jones come in and are just high-flying, game-wrecking players that change everything overnight, which I think is far-fetched. I think they'll make them better. But I don't see how those players come in and immediately put this team in a position where they become contenders against the AFC elites. I know I'm probably harping on that, but I don't view this team as an AFC elite. I view this team as a group that's certainly gotten better since they made alignment changes a few weeks ago. The output has looked a lot better in terms of scoring defense. But they're not getting home to the quarterback. And while I think Dre'Mont's going to come in motivated and physical and ready to roll so that he can get paid in the offseason and try to compete for a postseason opportunity, because he goes from lows of lows to maybe like medium lows right now, Tennessee to Baltimore. And perhaps Carl Lawson's going to have fresh legs under him, and he's going to be ready to roll, having not played a regular season snap since January last year for Dallas. They still got a lot of issues. And there is not one quarterback in this league that's not going to have a field day when you give him all kinds of time to throw. Evan, your name is absurd. Shimmy Boy writes, so now Kyle Hamilton has a bigger role as an interior defensive lineman. So what happens if this guy gets hurt? DaCosta's going to pull a Tyrese Gibson. I don't know. Appreciate the super chat, Shimmy. Richard, welcome back to the program. How you grading it out? I know. People in the live chat are behind. I said Draymond Green. It's a low moment, okay? It's a low moment. Don't clip me. You know I'm usually polished when it comes to names. Draymond Jones. I'm not even going to say Draymond Green again. Can't have it. Kevin Bonham Jr. says, DeBruh just said bring in a zest monster to mess up the locker room. Please, sir, stop drinking and smoking. The Ravens are using Lamar to make a profit. Stephen Coleman tells me, Bobby, you are smart. EDC is not a good GM. Call in and tell me why, Stephen. Thanks for being here. Richard, great out your front office. Talk to me. Welcome back to the program.
What's up, Bobby? This trade deadline, I'm giving it a D. I'm not happy right now. Draymond, Jones, Green, whatever his name is. I mean, okay. Maybe he's a Tavius Robinson replacement. That's not enough to move the needle. I've been screaming for trenches for fucking years, and I would say we've had the game plan for half a decade on how to win a Super Bowl. This team doesn't want to win a Super Bowl. I think off of what happened today, it tells me that they're content with making it to the playoffs and being one and done. I think that's what their target and their litmus for success for this year would be. Now, to discuss about the actual trade, Quentin Williams, we were never going to match Dallas. Jerry Jones will get whatever he wants because he'll go after it. The Ravens don't do that. Can I get about 30 more seconds? I want to touch about the other people.
Go ahead. They should have thrown a second at Jermaine Johnson, but go ahead.
They should have, yes. They really should have. We're not even able to pick well in the second round anyway. Our second round draft picks are ass. But that's beside the point. Dexter Lawrence, as much as I would have wanted him, wasn't going to happen because if you think about it, in the back of my mind, that wasn't going to happen after they kicked the shit out of the Philadelphia Eagles and showed that they can go toe-to-toe with the best of the NFC. And, yeah, they have Malik Neighbors out. They have Scotabo out. And they have a lot of other people out. I think they're waiting to go and reload for next year. And that's why they didn't want to trade. I think the same thing with the Commanders, with Deron Payne. I think they're loading up because they realize that they need backfield help. and if they had all the wide receivers, they would be able to cook over there. I think they wouldn't want to do it anyway. Jeffrey Simmons, as much as I would want him spitting in the face of Yonda kind of took him out of contention anyway. So at the end of the day, the last unfortunate piece, I would, not saying that he's bad, would have been Calais Campbell, but they won yesterday. And so, defensive tackle, I mean, there's no, and if you think about the market, that wasn't going to happen as much as I hate it to admit it. Offensive guard, you can't sit here and tell me that you're okay with having a $75 million quarterback next year getting injured. But apparently they are okay with it. That's all I got to say.
Appreciate you, brother. Later, man.
Yep.
Thank you guys for being with me tonight. Obviously, the trade deadline has come and went. And overall, as you see up on the screen, this is Eric DaCosta's 2025 deadline activity. Dafe Owe in a 2027 7th went to LA for Alohi Gilman and in a 2026 5th. This past weekend, Jair Alexander in a 2027 7th went to Philadelphia for a 2026 6th. And just last night, a conditional 2026 5th that could be upgraded to a 4th went to Tennessee for Dre'mont Jones. That's Dre'mont Jones. Thank you guys for being with me. Nick Clemens writes, boy, am I glad they freed up $14 million in cap space. Organizational malpractice, but hey, we have 11 draft picks. Glaring weaknesses on the offensive line and defensive line. Don, are you with me? Show your face if so. We'll bring you onto the program. Give me a thumbs up, Don. If not, we're going to go on to the next caller. Guest lines are open, guys. If you'd like to share a thought, you can click on that link. Don, I don't see you, brother, so I'm moving on. Justin, welcome back to the program, man. Talk to me about your deadline thoughts. It's 4:38, 38 minutes ago. This deadline came. Let me restart your 60 seconds. Talk to me, brother.
Depressed. I mean, that's like, it's almost like they would rather have all the draft picks than times. I maybe a little more aggressive, just a little more aggressive. You don't got to be all aggressive and go out trade at first, but just be a little bit more aggressive and try to improve the team. You trade Oway, I don't know. I give it a D at the best. We got a lot of talent on the team. Lamar's in his prime, and it seems like they're just willing to stand pat. The D line's one injury away from being a total wreck. So
what are you calling it now?
yeah, that's what I mean, man. One injury away from being a total wreck.
Yeah.
So
thanks, appreciate it.
Yeah, man. No problem, bro.
Yes, lines are open right now, guys. As you can see, you can call in if you'd like to share a thought now that the deadline is passed by clicking on the link that I have pinned right now in my live chat. Ashley wants to know who the AFC elites are. Buffalo and Kansas City, to me, are no-brainer elites. You've got other teams that obviously are a tier below. I'm not sure if I'm fully sold on the Colts just yet. They came back down to earth against the Steelers defense that certainly turned its season around, or at least the narrative around its defense around for the time being. The division leaders right now, they're up for grabs. It's clear entering week 10. A lot of these divisions in the AFC, if not all four divisions, are up for grabs. The AFC West is exceptional. The AFC East is a two-team race between New England and Buffalo. And obviously the AFC North, you could probably argue it's a two-team race right now between Baltimore and Pittsburgh. I don't know how Cincinnati, with that defense, can keep itself in the conversation, and Cleveland's Cleveland. So, yeah, to me, it's pretty no-brainer that there's two AFC elites right now, and I think that that's Buffalo and Kansas City. I think it's pretty obvious, to be quite honest. Isaiah says, I know he's a freak, but go get Christian Wilkins. A caller shared that sentiment through the waiver wire a few moments ago. Don, you ready to roll, my man? Welcome to the program, dude. Trade deadline is passed. Getting your thoughts on it as we go call to call to call. Don, welcome to the program, man.
Appreciate you, Bobby. Thanks for having me. I'm going to give this a C minus. They did try to address the edge rushing, pass rushing situation with what dre'mont, Jordan? dre'mont, the Tennessee guy.
dre'mont Jordan. Yep.
Jordan, sorry. And Lawson is not bad. But I used to see him. I used to watch him play when he's with the Bengals and the Cowboys. Not a bad. To be honest, that's going to surprise you. He's going to definitely provide help. I don't know why we did not bolster the O-line, because our O-line is atrocious. Number 77, I'm sorry. It's just we got to protect Lamar, and I don't know. So we'll see. Appreciate you, Bobby. Thanks for everything. Thanks for your show. I watch you every day. God bless you, man.
Thanks, Don. Appreciate you for calling. And thanks to everybody for being here. Over 1,600 concurrents at the moment, reviewing, analyzing, dissecting, grading, ranking, so on and so forth. That's what we're doing right now, given the trade deadline being in the rearview mirror. Don mentioned Carl Lawson, who has a chance to make his 2025 season debut coming up on Sunday in Minnesota. I would imagine that will be in a rotation type of package. They're going to want to be careful with him, knowing he hasn't played a regular season snap since January of 2025 with Dallas. As far as dre'mont, we better get this down. Dre'mont Jones. As far as dre'mont goes, he's coming off a stellar game against a banged-up Chargers offensive line. He's had a really good last few weeks and put on, again, some great tape for a final audition for the Titans and elsewhere over the last few weeks prior to the deadline. He now joins the Ravens in exchange for a conditional fifth that could get up to a fourth. And again, I think the Ravens defense got better in recent weeks with the addition of Alohi, with the addition of Carl Lawson, and with the addition of dre'mont. But I don't sit here and feel the need to scream and shout from the rooftops that this is a team that can now compete for a title. They still have glaring issues from an interior defensive lineman standpoint. They still struggle in terms of overall yardage. And I'm just not sitting here all that convinced that wins over Chicago and Miami, that while they're back in the playoff hunt, I'm not a believer. Not yet. I got to see a lot more to become a believer. Evan, Rave, Moneybag, Obi, appreciate you guys for being with me. We'll continue to cycle through these guest calls. Richard says, my question: what the F are we going to do with $13 million? At this point, just give it to me if we're just going to set that cap space on fire. Oh, Richard, you're funny as shit. Juan says, Ravens have no intentions of helping Lamar get a Super Bowl. The league has been sabotaging him since day one. Remember, no one wanted to trade for him. I can't. I love you, Juan. Thank you for the super chat. Obi, your thoughts on the trade deadline?
Trade deadline, I think complete fail. I mean, I think the two things we did before, C plus, B, but we seem to hold on to our picks a lot longer than we need to. I remember a few years ago, we had like 11 picks and we let 5 guys go before the season after we drafted them that year. Like, we get so many picks, we can't even get them all on the squad. Why are we saving all those picks? We never use them to trade up in the draft. We never use them at the deadline to spice things up, put things in place. We got Fail Alele dropping down on the floor. I think if they just cut the right guard and put nobody in there, I think we'd actually be better off, because empty space is better than him. And we're doing nothing to shore up the middle of our defensive line. I think it's crazy.
I want everybody to remember this moment in time and the anger and frustration that a lot of you guys are feeling out there right now, because the Ravens have a chance to rip off a number of wins over the next month. But one thing that is going to remain the same, the lack of activity, the lack of replacement of key players is going to come back to bite this team. And I don't want anybody to get lost in the sauce over the next month should they go and beat up on this favorable, I'm air quoting it, schedule moving forward. I think this is one of the most parity-driven leagues in recent years, or seasons in recent years. And so there's a lot that can change. There's a lot that can happen. Minnesota is going to be a stiff test. I thought that earlier today on the Vault, Derek Coleman from All 22 Ravens Film Analysis was tremendous in terms of what he's expecting and the type of challenge that Brian Flores and company will present. So I just want, again, I think this is a moment in time that everybody should be mindful of, that you can go back to in terms of trying to make sense of potential shortcomings that could be heading the Ravens' way in the near future. So, did I pronounce that right? Is it Obi?
Yep.
All right, man. Thanks for the call.
No problem. Thanks for having me in.
Absolutely. Guest lines are open, guys, if you want to share a thought with me. Mr. Evan Emporium. I see what you did there. Talk to me.
What's up, brother?
Good to see
So, for me to grade this this trade deadline, I kind of need more information on Matabike, because if he's not back next year and he's done for, then it's an F. And I probably wouldn't have given it that grade had Quentin been held on to by the Jets and not gone to the Cowboys. But the fact that they were willing to deal him and we didn't do everything we can to get him in the building, it's a failure, man. And I got to push back on the notion that a first and a second is overpaying for this kind of guy. He's a three-time Pro Bowler. He's an All-Pro. He's in his prime of his career. You're not getting him for much less than that. I mean,
There's a player in there too, though.
That player is absolute mid, dude. That guy's nothing. We could have thrown something in like him easily.
So, agreed. They could have easily done it. I guess what I was more so, and it's a good opportunity to clarify, the Ravens aren't doing that shit.
Yeah, I mean, if we're just saying that it was too rich for Eric DeCosta, then sure. But it was a fair trade, and I gotta believe with the cap space they opened up that maybe they found themselves in some sort of bidding war. I gotta hope at least that we at least called the Jets and tried to make that trade happen, and we just couldn't keep up with. It's just embarrassing to get outbid by Jerry Jones, who's like one of the cheapest GMs in the NFL.
But though, he was willing to do whatever it friggin' takes after last night's embarrassment to go and turn the tide around so that sports radio in Dallas, and he takes back command of the overall narrative, which he did not have going into this morning.
Right, but that's what separates him. Is he, like you said, he's willing to do whatever it takes, and it just comes across to people like me and at the end of the bar that EDC was not willing to do whatever it took to get someone that would have been a quick plug-in for Matabike and would have made a lot of people happy and would have done a lot for this defensive line. So
I think you make a hell of a point. The optics on Nnamdi, which remain not only dark but uncertain, and he hasn't even had the procedure, by the way. The last time we heard from John Harbaugh, there hasn't been a procedure done. So, damn.
Yeah, I mean, Kolar was in the Discord saying, maybe he was being hopeful, and he's like, maybe we didn't make this move because there's some hope in the building that Beeks is going to be back. But based off of what Harbs has been saying, it does not sound good. It sounds like he's done so, and they're not at liberty to make. They want him to retire and make that announcement on his own rather than someone else do that for him.
Thanks for the call, brother.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Later, man.
Yep.
Thanks, guys, for being here. Vinny, welcome to the program. Talk to me.
Hey, what's going on? I think the major concern that I have is the fact that there's a certain level of complacency when it comes to success in the postseason. When you have Lamar as your quarterback, there's always the open window for a Super Bowl, roster aside, when you have that guy back there. And so with Voorhees and Fa'alele struggling like they have been, and it doesn't seem like they're really set on wanting to make changes there, it makes me question, are Emory Jones and Ben Cleveland really that bad? A. And then on the defensive side of the ball, I think you made a point. The philosophy between DaCosta and Ozzie Newsome. Ozzie Newsome was willing to build in from the inside out, and it seems like DaCosta seems to want to do the opposite approach. And so I think that's a bit concerning, and I don't know if it's a lack of knowledge or wherewithal, or if it's more like he wants to go after the flashy players, so to speak, but yet he hasn't even done that. So I think Ozzie Newsome being arguably the best general manager that's ever been around, hard shoes to fill, but at the same time, you would think DaCosta would have learned more, but he seems to be wanting to do his own approach, and it's kind of wasting Lamar's prime. That wasn't trade deadline, so to speak. I gave the trade deadline a C, but I just overall there seems to be a lack of urgency wanting to win a Super Bowl or go deep in the playoffs when you don't have the clutch factor because of the lack of personnel around Lamar to get it done.
Thanks, Vinny. Appreciate the call. Drive safe. If I'm looking at this overall situation optimistically, to piggyback off of a comment that Vinny just said, as long as Lamar is healthy, which he's now had a 3 or 4 week window to recover from the hamstring strain. He returned and barely had to test it on Thursday night. And now he's in the middle of a mini bye leading into a stretch that begins in Minnesota against the Vikings, which will be a big challenge. And he's going to have to use his legs, I would think, against Brian Flores' defense. The positive and the optimistic view of that, is as long as Lamar is healthy and available, the Ravens have a fighting chance. Where I go the realistic approach, where you guys know I typically lean on and tend to put a little bit more weight on, is I don't think this defense is championship caliber. I think they have the potential to get back to average. I do. I think they've shown that in recent weeks against, inferior opponents. Chicago did just hang 47 points against an NFL team, but that NFL team has not fielded a competent defense in years in the Cincinnati Bengals. We'll see if that changes. The Ravens have to see them twice within a 3-week period. And when I say have to, perhaps it's Cincinnati has to see the Ravens offense twice within a 3-week period. I still have questions whether or not this defense can truly stymie the likes of Josh Allen and the Bills, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, so on and so forth in the month of January. Kevin Bonham Jr. says top 5 general managers: 49ers, Kansas City, Buffalo, Seattle, Philadelphia, and Rams. I know it's 6. KBJ is out here ranking front offices and where the Ravens fall. Guess outside his top 6. Moneybag, you there? Yes, you are there. Welcome to the program, brother. Good to see you.
How you doing, man?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. So I just wanted to say that I just got one question for you, Bobby. Is this enough?
No.
No.
It's
Flat
enough to
out.
get them back.
Flat
I
out.
just alluded
No.
to it a minute ago. To me, it's enough to get them back to. I'll reset your clock. It's enough to get them back to average defensive performance. I think you're going to get a lot more than maybe people think out of Carl Lawson and Dre'Mont Jones, who's going to come in extremely motivated. This is a contract year for him. He's been flying around playing with his hair on fire, downhill beast. I expect him to be a contributor. But I don't know how two players fix this entire thing. I'm going to go ahead and reset your clock.
Yeah, I don't see it. I just don't see it. Like me knowing, I'm on here every day and we go through the ins and outs of the team, the problems, the locker room issues. 2 edge rushers are not going to fix. 2 edge rushers aren't going to fix the secondary giving up almost the most 20-yard plays in the NFL. Or they're not going to fix Monken getting complacent in key moments of games. big games with the play calling. Yeah, I just think it's more than just a roster, and it's yeah, the Ravens' problems are more than just a roster, and everybody's making it sound like it's just a roster. It's just not the roster. It's more than that.
Thanks for the call, Moneyback. Appreciate you.
All right.
Instantly reacting to the trade deadline, which has now came and went. Come and went or came and went? Somebody help me out. Rave, what you sipping on? Welcome to the program, Rave Kingdom. Your thoughts on trade deadline day?
You're all liars. You're all liars. You told me that EDC was a good GM. Lord have mercy. You basically just said, hey, Brent Urban and Falala is enough for us. Are we serious right now? Are we serious right now? I mean, I like Tremonte Jones. I don't care. Cool for him. I think he's gonna be all right. Cool. That's cool. But you're telling me, Bobby, you said it yourself, and Sarah said it too. She said, this is not enough for no Super Bowl playoff. So congratulations. We probably going to get some wins, and we make it to the playoffs. But you're telling me that in a Super Bowl, we're going to have Brent Urban and Falala? Come on, Bobby. And it's time to admit it, Bobby. You just don't want to say it. You know good and darn well EDC is looking like a bad moment right now, and you know it. Let's speak in facts. This is bad as a GM. Bad.
Later, Rave. Appreciate you. Thanks for the call. EB, you with me? It's your time, EB. It's your time. But we're going to go to Jawan first. Jawan Johnson joins the program. Talk to me, man. Your 60 seconds starts now.
What's up, Bobby, man? I just got a couple things, man. I know how we were talking about how the Bears game would be the Super Bowl. I feel like this game is the Super Bowl a little bit because of the pieces we picked up. I feel like, sure enough, the run game, I feel like the middle's good, but I feel like those kick-out blocks, if those two guys on the edge can strike that block without, that running back having a huge hole to run through, I feel like the secondary is good. I feel like if those edge guys can really strike blocks on those tight ends and those guards that's coming to kick them out, I think we're fine. But it'll show in this game because they were running the ball crazy last game, the Vikings. So that's really it.
You're darn right. You think Carl Lawson and Dre'mont can turn back the clock and become Jadeveon Clowney-esque from 2023? What do you say, huh?
That's asking a lot, Bobby, but I feel like Draymond can strike blocks. I don't know about the other guy, but I feel like he has potential to really, take on good blocks.
All right, Jay. Double
Yes,
J.
sir.
Double J. Jarrett Johnson, baby.
Yes, sir.
How about it? Jawan Johnson. He's got similar measurables to JJ?
I don't know now.
Thanks, man. Travel safely. Appreciate the call. Yeah, Ravens are putting themselves in a position where they're going to be leaning heavily on veterans. They're going to continue to be leaning heavily on rookies. And those rookies have answered the bell in recent weeks, for sure. Teddy Buchanan coming off an AFC Defensive Rookie of the Month award. Malachi Starks getting his first interception. Mike Green recording his first sack. Can you expect that moving forward in high leverage scenarios consistently for the rest of the way? We're going to see. They're going to be leaning on him. EB, welcome back to the program, EB. Grade him out, baby. Grade him out. Before you do, Richard says, to be honest, with $13 million, we better use it for a likely extension. And Free Wi-Fi says, relax. EDC has 11 picks. Shaking my head. 100 picks for 8 dudes. EB, welcome back to the program. Your thoughts today on deadline day?
This was an epic fail. What a dumbass front office we have. I feel as though that the horrendous has affected the entire front office at this point, and maybe even some of the players, considering that we are 3-5 right now. I'm not mad about the guys that we did go get, but we did not do enough. Top 5, Bobby. Top 5 my ass. Like, this is atrocious. Like Ray said, this is atrocious as a GM. Like, what listen, I got us winning out and possibly winning the division, but making a deep run in the playoffs and making it to the Super Bowl, man, you can kiss that shit goodbye. My faith has definitely went all the way in the toilet. We did nothing to address the offensive line or the defensive line, and we still don't know what's going on with Madam BK. Yeah, atrocious, atrocious, atrocious
Thanks, EB.
work.
Thanks for the call, brother. Appreciate you. Got my guy Femi Ayambadejo is in the live chat right now, and he is insisting that this team, as currently constructed, given the moves that have been made in recent weeks, can still contend. I ask you, live chat and callers in the waiting room, is this team, as currently constructed, capable of contending, capable of going on a run? And I'm not talking about a run over the next month. I'm talking about a run into 2026. What say you guys? Andrew G., welcome back to the program.
What's up, Bobby? I think it's easy to be frustrated with the outcome of what happened, but if you look at a team like Buffalo, they just lost Ed Oliver. Michael Hoyt just tore his Achilles. They have nothing on their interior right now, and they didn't go and get Quinnen Williams or some big stud on the defensive tackle. So you have to look at that with a grain of salt. Like, figuratively, what else could the Ravens have done? I mean, the most realistic thing would have been Calais Campbell, but just let the guy retire in Arizona as he wanted to. So, I mean, like, they just did what they could. I just feel like they just stayed put and pulled a classic Ravens move. Um, I'm kind of neutral with the whole situation, but it's easy to be frustrated with kind of the expectations for this team right now.
Calais is going to play for, in all due respect to the journeyman and veteran and savvy one at that Jacoby Brissett has been for years running. He's bailed out a lot of teams in pinches over the years. He is now your starter in Arizona over Kyler Murray. And while that's great, and Jacoby played the part for a win last night, we all know that's not a sustainable way to contend. And so this could very well be a Calais decision, right? A personal Calais decision to end his career where it started, with his family in mind. Next stop will be Canton. And look, there are some parts of this puzzle that were out of the Ravens' control. We know what the compensation was for Quinnen Williams. The Ravens weren't doing that. And as much as it's easy for me to sit here and be like they should have sent a second, as they did for Roquan in 2022 for Jermaine Johnson with the Jets, I don't know if the Jets balked at that. So, it's easy to get on here and start swinging and throwing punches around and taking aim at the front office. Reality is they didn't stand pat. They stood pat today. They got better in recent weeks, which dates back to the first week of October with the addition of Alohi. They weren't going to pay Adafe. They got out in front of that. Jair was on the outside looking in. You added $2 million more to the cap. I know some of you were like, yeah, for what though? You didn't spend the money. They'll spend it somehow, some way. It just won't happen now, obviously. And then obviously in a player in dre'mont, who I think Coach Coleman this morning or on this afternoon on the Vault did a great job of explaining the immediate impact that he can have. Whether it's needle moving or not remains to be seen. But they did get better defensively. I don't want to lose sight in that as we kind of all just go scorched earth in knee-jerk fashion. And hopefully that's a fair way of saying it. So thanks for the call, man.
See you, Bobby.
Later, dude. Appreciate you guys for being with me. Guest lines are popping right now. Matthew, talk to me. You got that Spike Lee look going on down there. We'll get to you in a second. Dream says there's a reason why the Eagles have been to 3 Super Bowls and won 2 since 2018. How he gets things done. They won the Super Bowl last year and still made trades. Shaking my head. Matthew, welcome to the program.
Hey, what's going on, Bobby? How you doing?
Man, if I didn't look closer, I would have thought that was a Knicks hat. Maybe it's the lighting. I don't know. I'm seeing orange radiate off your hat.
I'm still repping Baltimore. But yeah, man, my thing is players play, coaches coach. EDC was supposed to improve the team, and a lot of us feel like he just didn't. We watched Philly win in the trenches against Kansas City. That was the blueprint. You can't lose Broderick Washington, Matabike, Tavius, and you don't replace them. Like, what are you doing, bro? We're supposed to get better. To Femi's point, real quick, yeah, we've been contenders. We've had the number 1 seed. That's all we do is contend. We're trying to win it all. Why can't we be dominant for once, like Golden State when they added KD? Go get somebody that puts us over the top for once. All we just want you to do is try. We're trying to not win. We want.
So, in other words, that's English for you think they might contend to get a shot at the AFC North and play a game in January, but I'm not gauging a lot of confidence levels that it won't be one and done. Okay.
No, not unless the coaching staff coaches properly. Like real quick, the KFC versus Kansas City, we watched Buffalo rush for 182 yards, and then our game plan, we're only going to rush the ball 7 times or something like that. You can't you can't do stuff like that. If it's not the coaches, and then it's poor player execution, and then we made it to the playoffs again, guys, and then that's it.
Thanks for the call, dude. Appreciate you,
Bobby.
Instantly reacting to the deadline, as you guys probably can tell by now. More super chats have come in. Robbie says we're mad because they did nothing to fix this offensive line. Hashtag defund the defense. Is the NYPD about to be defunded by the time today is over? Maybe. Albert Breer tweeted something out earlier that I found to be interesting. He wrote, the magic of what Eagles GM Howie Roseman does isn't trading a third for Jalen Phillips. Anyone could do that. It's being strong enough in asset management to have 3 third-round picks stockpiled, so moving one of them isn't a big deal. That's what makes Philly different. An astute point on what's led to so much success from a front office perspective that then leaks on down into player personnel and ultimate execution. Great tweet there from Albert Breer. Back to the guest lines we go. Chris, you with me down there? If you are, show that face. Yes, you are. Welcome to the program, brother. Talk to me. How you feeling today?
How you doing? I'm more optimistic. I think that the Ravens good. I think that it's coaching more than anything else. I feel like we always had talent on defense, and it's the next man up. So yeah, we don't have certain players that got hurt, but it's the next man up, and it's the NFL. So I feel like I'm more optimistic and feel like we can do something if the coaching is better. Honestly, I feel like it's talent, and you got Lamar Jackson. You can't forget 2-time MVP, supposed to be 3-time MVP. You can't think that with a quarterback like that, you can't get to the promised land. So I'm more optimistic, and I feel like we can contend.
Chris showing up a little bit of optimism, man. That makes you in the minority today, brother.
For sure.
Thanks for the perspective. Appreciate you.
For sure.
All right, later. I love that. Anybody else? How about this? If you're in a live chat right now, or I should say you're in the waiting room and you want to bring optimism, I'll go ahead and throw you to the front of the line. How about that? Nobody's pushing pessimism here. You know how that goes. I always think it's just a realistic way of looking at things. That's what I try to do to the best of my ability. Taurus, welcome back to the waiting room. It's great to have you down there. We'll get to you in just a bit. What is Yuho Hits TLs? I don't even know what the hell is going on here, but welcome back to the program.
Hello.
You got to remind me what your first name is.
Thomas.
Okay, Thomas.
Thomas.
Reset your clock. Let it rip.
Okay, I'm optimistic. I'm going to build off of Chris. We can still contend as long as we got Lamar Jackson. Keyword, as long as we got him. It wasn't a good day, trade deadline day, but we should have still added an offensive line, because if our offensive line is a little bit better at the guard position, I think we can seriously get to the promised land, get it done. Right now, we can still get there if 8 stays healthy. If he can't stay healthy, I don't think we're going to make it past the conference if he doesn't stay healthy. We need him from now to the end of this season. I know everybody wants some more, wants to replace Namdi Matabike. We got to replace Michael Pierce. I feel like we really got better in the trenches on the defensive side. We should have made a guard trade like Zeitler.
Thanks for the call, man. Appreciate you. Had Paul Kaharski on last night, longtime Titans reporter, and I failed to ask about Kevin Zeitler, but I did text him afterwards, and I said, hey, what's up with Kevin? And he was just like fading. Now, I don't know if that suggested that Kevin Zeitler was getting calls or Tennessee was getting calls on behalf of Kevin Zeitler, but ultimately the Ravens stand pat on the final day of the deadline. They bring in Alohi Gilman a month ago. They traded Dafe Owe. They deal Jair Alexander to Philadelphia in exchange for a sixth coming up in April. And then last night, obviously, bring in Dre'Mont Jones, who should be an immediate impact player for them from an edge rusher standpoint, who can play inside and outside. I will continue to acknowledge from an optimistic standpoint, cautiously, that the Ravens have improved defensively since week 6, and that was the acquisition of Alohi Gilman. It's a 3-game sample size on the right-hand side of this graphic. The Rams, the Bears, and the Dolphins. The Ravens are 2-1. Obviously, the previous weeks, they were 1-5, where they allowed over 35 points a game, over 408 yards per game, over 262 passing yards per game, and over 146 rushing yards per game. And on top of that, they were only able to take the football away twice. Since then, it is really trending in the right direction. We'll talk about the opponents, degree of difficulty of the schedule or lack thereof. That obviously needs to be talked about, but these are NFL teams. Chicago just put up a 47-burger on Cincinnati. The Rams, I think, could potentially come out of the NFC when it's all said and done. Miami's Miami. 13 points per game allowed since week 6. 315 total yards per game. Still got to get that number down. 229.3 passing yards per game. 85.7 rushing yards per game. Great improvement there. And then obviously the night and day metric that has made this thing go in a lot of ways has been the takeaways. 5 total takeaways since week 6, more than doubling the previous 5 weeks combined. So there you have it. Back to the guest lines we go. Getting your thoughts on this. Taurus, welcome to the program, brother. What you got for me?
I ain't got no football takes, Bobby. You know why I'm here, man. I came to pull up, man. I wanted to see what that energy was about. You was talking about, man. So I'm in the chat. So like I'm on the live. What's good, bro? 1 minute.
On trip.
1 minute. It's an issue. Cause I joke. The crazy part. I've been a part of this whole vault thing before Sarah was even on the show. So the fact that you know me more than anybody when it comes to this, and instead of even having a conversation before y'all even did that, y'all didn't email me beforehand and say, hey, Torres, could you calm it down? If it's a pattern or something that keep going on, why keep allowing it to go on? They want to be extreme the next minute. And even today, I seen people making racist comments, talking about people's moms. But I'm like, y'all don't, but you pay attention to the chat. Now, however this go, it don't matter to me, Bobby. But my thing is, dog, stand on business how you feel, man. Cause I ain't really got no issue with you. It's the fake shit I don't like, bro. I don't take it out of context with nobody. I joke with anybody the same way with everybody. You feel me? I didn't take it. You said I took it far. I didn't take it far. She had HVAC people come by, and I joked about them coming by. I didn't say she was doing anything. So for y'all to sit there and go that extreme over me, when I sit there and turn up the chat, I do. Anybody can say what they want, but I do. I do that purposely because y'all don't take the time out to react to every comment in the chat section. So the best thing I do is try to make people laugh or communicate with other people in the chat, and y'all gonna rob me of that? It don't matter to me, Bobby. I got my own channel, bro. But I would expect it more from you out of that situation, and then to turn it to, oh well, y'all, you can email me, Torres can email me. Y'all didn't email me when y'all muted me. Y'all took a whole 30-second segment on me talking about something. We're not going to allow this. We're not going to allow that. We're not going to tolerate that. So I shouldn't see nothing negative, no nasty comments in there. I shouldn't see nobody talking about nobody. I shouldn't see none of that. But I still see it. Sarah's married. Why they making comments about her looking good today? Why they making comments about, oh, she look great with glasses on today? Why are they making comments like that? But that's okay. What's the line? That's all I'm saying, man. We could talk about football, but that's what's bothering me, Bobby. I ain't got no real bad blood with you, but that shit right there, I can't rock with that, bro. That ain't cool. That ain't cool, bro.
It's deadline day. Respectfully, I got to keep this thing moving.
That's all right. That's all right. I just wanted to get that out there. I appreciate you taking the time to pad me on. That's all good.
I hope you'll take us up on the offer of conversation
Bobby,
and dialogue
but
via email.
Bobby, you could DM me. I don't got an email. That's all I'm saying. Y'all
Hope you'll
didn't take
consider
them
doing it.
procedures.
Hope you'll consider doing it.
All
I got
right.
to keep it going for the deadline. Thank you for calling. Later, Torres. Guest lines are open, guys. Over 2,000 concurrents at the moment. If you could like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Hit that notification bell. Thanks to Preston Automotive Group for the continued support, sponsoring the program. Adam, welcome back, man. Good to see you. Deadline.
Okay.
What you got for me?
My fifth round picks and later hardly ever make the roster. Why does like last year, DaCosta had like 4 6-rounders? Barely none made the roster. Why did you want to keep all 5 5th-rounders if the same thing's probably going to happen? And my other question is, now that we've lost Washington and Robinson and Matabike, what is he going to do if Travis Jones goes down and gets hurt? There's going to be nobody to replace him.
That's a legitimate gripe. No doubt. Because they've already put themselves in a position, Adam, where their depth is being tested. And in some cases, their depth hasn't answered the bell. They got issues right now.
That's my point. What is DaCosta's excuse going to be if something happens to Travis Jones with him not making a move?
Yeah, well, he's going to have to answer, hopefully, knock on wood, that he's not in that scenario. But there are some difficult questions that he's going to have to answer in the coming months if this season goes south and they don't end up obviously raising the Lombardi. They're going to have to answer about what their thinking was in acquiring Cooper Rush. They're going to have to answer for what their thinking was in the way they built this offensive line. And when I say build, they just leaned on what they did last year.
Yeah, 7th and 4th.
They're going to have to answer for not adequately replacing Michael Pierce. And they're going to have to answer for we'll have to judge what happens with the trade deadline. But as of right now, it's a non-needle moving trade deadline. I think it'll improve their defense in the weeks ahead. But I don't see it as this world beater opportunity where they put this defense in a position to get back to the upper echelon. So there's going to be some difficult questions to answer, no doubt. Thanks, Adam. Appreciate the call. Another super chat's come in. Tonsley, what's up, Tonsley? He writes, nobody in the castle thinks there is anything wrong with our offensive line guards. Only we think that we need help. Dre Dog, welcome to the program, brother.
Hey, Bobby, can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, let me speed blitz this for you, right? Because you keep asking people, why do we think EDC is not top 5 or why EDC is not mid, okay? I'm gonna just speed blitz these names, okay? Just make a mental note of the names. All of these names that I'm about to list are 5th round picks because we got a ton of 5th round picks coming up. Jordan Lastly, Dalen Mack, Broderick Washington, Sean Wade, Dalen Hayes, Ben Mason, Caillou Blue Kelly, Rasheen Ali, Carson Vincent. That's since 2018, okay? Remember those names. 2nd round picks. No 2nd round pick in 2018. None in 2019. 2020, we get J.K. Dobbins and ruin his career. 2021, we don't have a pick. 2022, we get fucking David Ajabo. 2023, we don't have a pick. 2024, we get Roger Rosengarten, who is regressing. We get Mike Green in 2025. Okay, let me give you real quick. You know I'm an accountant, so let me give you the numbers. So out of all of those players I just listed, there are a possible 4 starters out of all of those players. That is a 31% success rate. That is fucking insane. We're talking about almost a decade worth of drafting, and we got 4 players out of the 5th round and your 2nd round that are possible starters. So the other day when I made the comment, and Sarah said she didn't really believe the narrative of, oh yeah, the Ravens draft so well, and these players go to other teams, and the players that we draft go to other teams. Fuck all that. What are we doing on our team to make this team a Super Bowl winning team? We look to the Eagles. We look to Kansas City. These are perennial Super Bowl teams, bro. Like at some point, like even and it blows my mind because Bashotti came out and said he don't care about the future. He doesn't care. He wants to win now. EDC cares about what are we going to do? Oh, we don't want to fuck up our comp pick formula. We got to get these fucking comp picks. They're so fucking important. Come on, bro. Enough is enough with the shenanigans. Like, you know, I don't even get down like this. I don't even really talk like this for real. But, yo, this is a travesty. Like, and it's so sad at the end of the day, we are watching a generational quarterback struggle and fight and run and still get disrespected in the media by racists, by people just don't like him. We are watching a generational talent be completely wasted with foolishness, what EDC is doing, foolishness, what coaching is doing. Like, I'm at the point where I'm at the point where, yo, I got so much love for Lamar. If he came to the table next year and said to EDC, I'm not renegotiating shit. Pay me the $74 million for the next 2 years. I don't give a fuck how the team turn out. And then let me go about my way because y'all wasted it. Y'all completely wasted my rookie contract. And then everybody say, well, he's getting paid too much now. You can't bring in a true XY receiver. You can't bring in a true pass rusher. You got to get it through the draft because you can't afford it. When we drafted motherfuckers like David Ajabo in the 2nd round hurt, when we drafted motherfuckers like David Ajabo in the 2nd round hurt, come on, bro, he's not top 5. Go through those names. And that's just the 2nd and 3rd. And this is the killer, Bobby. If you look at some of the players that went after some of the guys we missed, go just look at who went after fucking David Ajabo. I love you, Bobby.
Appreciate you, Dre. Man, yeah, he wasn't kidding, man. He was letting it rip today. Dre Dog, speaking to you out there. Edwin, welcome to the program.
Yo, what's going on? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, man. I had so much to say, and it seems like a lot of people are covering the things I said. My boy that just went before me, he pretty much laid it down what I was going to say about, which I look at as more scouting, more so than like decision making. But Eric seems that we got to remember that Eric comes from Ozzy, and Ozzy has the same kind of formulaic mindset of like keeping your draft picks and keeping those golden, but he has a different approach in how he does things, and he's hit and he's missed. But if we just look at it just one single thing, then you're going to say, oh yeah, he's been bad. But we always got to remember draft picks, no matter what round you pick a player, what round you sign a player, they're all rolling the dice. We don't know whether their college careers will translate to the NFL and vice versa. You're not really sure because some players that are prospects are high, they completely fail, and some people prospects that are low completely become great players. So it could be any one of those things. But I mean, as far as the offensive line, who we gonna grab? It's like people thinking that he's gonna go out there and like, oh, let me just spend these draft picks to grab an offensive guard when you're really gonna just be getting second string, third string guards because what's to say somebody's not willing to give up their starting guard, and they're going to be wanting to want first rounders when we always know that EDC, Ozzy, that building always like covets their draft picks. So we can't, as fans, just expect them to automatically be like Cowboys and the Colts and give up multiple firsts and seconds for one single player. And we only got rid of one roster spot. But let's look at it from a standpoint. Dre'Mont Jones we acquired, and we also acquired Alohi Gilman. We lost Jair Alexander, and we lost Adafi Owe. Are these two players better than those two? So far, Alohi Gilman has proven that he's better on this team than Jair was, because Jair couldn't stay on the field. And also when he wasn't healthy enough to be a factor, because obviously his knee wasn't as good as we thought it was. And then if we look at Adafi Owe, yeah, he's doing a little bit better because the Chargers run a simplified version of the Ravens defense. Everybody knows that. Jim Harbaugh said it before the season started that he's running the Ravens defense, but it's a simplified version. So of course Adafi is going to take better to that because he's taking a simplified version. The Ravens defense is a hybrid defense, 3-4-4-3. So it's a lot more complex than most defenses out there. So we got to get the right players. And I think the scouting is where the problem is. It's not DeCosta's moves and his mindset. Is more so of we really got to get our scout team to be better. And also DeCosta has to know when to get rid of players. I think Mark Andrews should have been traded in the offseason for multiple seconds or thirds. We could have got maybe 1 or 2 picks for him. You know what I mean? And that's what the Eagles GM is doing. He's getting rid of players in the right time, pulling a lots of picks, and then now he could trade multiple picks for other players because he's already he's basically farming picks to make moves. And I think DeCosta can learn from that. But I don't think that DeCosta is terrible. It's just he's got an old mindset, and he's got to start to shift it into the new mindset because the old ways don't really necessarily work as they are now. And what's working is not what he's doing is not working. So we just got to see a shift in that. You know, I have optimism that regardless of the team that we got there, the defense has been a problem. They've shown that they've gotten better. Our offense never really was a huge problem. Yes, our guards are a problem, but you can't just fix that because you won it. You can't just say, oh, we're going to grab this guy. Offensive line has time to gel. So I think we're kind of made our bed with the offensive line. We just got to deal with what we got. And I think that it's going to prove at least enough for us to be able to score 30-plus points a game. We just need our defense to make more stops. And they've been doing it so far. Let's see if that keeps going. We have an opportunity there, but we have zero margin of error now. We got to win right now. Losses right now could really set us back right now. So I think that's where it's at. I'm super optimistic as long as Lamar is healthy and what we got. And I think EDC just got to start shifting and pivoting, maybe taking a look at what the Eagles GM is doing and understanding we got to start getting rid of players at the right time and farm some picks, and maybe we can make better moves. But right now we only had what we had. We got rid of a roster spot with Jair, and we got Dre'Mont Jones. We lost 2 players and got 2 replacement players, and they're better than what they were. So at least we've improved, just not as good as what the fans see because they see all of these glorified picks, like everybody throwing first rounders, you know, to get Sauce Gardner and to get Quentin Williams. But we're not giving up 2 first rounders. The Ravens never did that. They're never going to do that. So get that out your head, fans. Get that out. That's not happening.
Thanks, Edwin. Appreciate you, man.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for the call. David, not your daddy, joins us.
So, Bobby, I'm going to keep it real. A little bit of optimism, like the last guy, Edwin said. As long as we have Lamar Jackson, we have an opportunity. However, I'm going to remind you that months ago, last year, I've been telling you and Sarah, because, you know, the other channel, that EDC and Hallbar are filthy motherfuckers. They don't learn from other teams. They're just doing what they think is right. And you can laugh about it. You guys laughed at me back then. But watching what's happened in this draft and what we've done not to clean up this team is proof enough. And here's some more optimism. We have a really smart fan base. Some of these guys calling into your show, like the guy just before Edwin here, he was spot on. You know, when he was calling through the second round picks and all the travesty that's happened in the draft, he was spot on. I mean, a lot of that was totally spot on. We have missed. We have swung and missed. And there was another guy who paid a comment, one of their super chats. We have 11 picks. What do we do 11 fucking picks? There's a bunch of people in the 6th, 7th round. I mean, yeah, maybe if we get lucky, one of them is right. It's garbage. You have the best player in the NFL, and we're not doing the right, doing the right stuff to put the men around him that he needs. If we have to watch Falalele fall on his ass one more time, we're liable to have some fucking people in therapy. There are people going to kill themselves. I mean, Falalele is just that guy is garbage. I mean, like the fan base have eyeballs. There's a bunch of guys, you go to YouTube, there's a bunch of Ravens fans who are really smart. One of them called Coach. There's a bunch of guys who do some post-game films. It is amazing the shit that we are seeing on film. How are they not seeing this? How are they not seeing that this is such a liability? So we all talk about, a bunch of these fellows have talked about if Lamar stays healthy. The only way Lamar stays healthy, if the damn offensive line blocks for him, and they are a liability. So just what else? Oh, by the way, another thing I want to say, I don't know what everyone else is seeing, but Gilman is anyone seeing that this guy is missing on tackles? Maybe he has freed up a spot so that Hamilton can go, play lineman, and play linebacker. But I watched Gilman miss a lot of damn tackles. Is no one else seeing what I'm seeing with Gilman?
He wasn't the only one missing Devon Achane. He was not the only one on that defense missing Devon Achane. He ran all over him.
2 games in a row, I watched him miss a lot of fucking tackles. So maybe he's doing something in coverage that no one has covered that I haven't seen. I've run back on tape. But, man, what a shitty-ass tackler. This guy, arm tackling, missing a lot.
He's got to clean that shit up. But he has patrolled the back end. There have not been any communication woes, at least not that have been glaring. And this has allowed Kyle to be Kyle. And you got to acknowledge that as well. You're also onto something. That's got to get cleaned up for sure. But he's also brought in a savvy level of experience, a patrol type of presence on the back end, right? He's already been involved in turnovers.
I saw him knock that fumble out. But I see him take bad angles and miss tackles, which, if he was Kyle Hamilton, he'd have made all those. But anyway, so thanks for letting me have that discussion, Bobby, and I appreciate all the airtime you give me. EDC, what a fucking garbage bag that motherfucker is. He rode it on coattails to get in there. He is totally over his fucking head in his position, and it's really sad. And by the way, people are talking about all the draft, all the trades that happened. What about the trades that didn't happen? There are a bunch of guys on other teams that didn't come out and get traded because EDC didn't make a fucking move for them, because he didn't make the right deal. So although we saw Sauce Gardner and a bunch of these other guys go, there are players that didn't move that are opportunities lost.
Okay, one counter to that, though. One counter to that is there's a fine line between aggressiveness and also this guy's got an obligation to compete year in and year out, right? Who's to say they weren't in on Jermaine Johnson? They weren't in on Trevor Penning in New Orleans. They weren't in on Bradley Chubb in Miami, right? They got to draw a line at some point. They have an obligation to keep a level of consistency, which they've done successfully. Certainly hasn't boded well since the Super Bowl in terms of where their ultimate aspirations are.
A lot of years.
But you got to keep that in mind, too. They are competitive just about every single year and have been when Lamar's been healthy for the last 8 years.
I'll take on with that. There's someone, I don't know if it's Super Chat or someone said it in one of the videos, the guy that you were playing, these guys coming on, but someone said something about that, that they're just making money off the back of Lamar. And that's what it feels like. I mean, you can't have the best player by far in the NFL, definitely the best quarterback. I mean, he is Mahomes level, except that he doesn't have the talent around him that Mahomes has. He hasn't had the offensive line Mahomes. I mean, the fact that you're right. There has to be some level of control that they have with, not going stupid. But the problem is that we've made too many stupid decisions. We've drafted too much garbage. Look at all the failures in the second round. So what I'm saying is that we have the wrong fucking GM. The guy is making bad fucking decisions. We could throw fucking darts at a dartboard and just say the best available and just throw darts at best available and have done better than what ADC has done.
Thanks for the call, brother. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Appreciate
Later, David. Look, sometimes over-aggressiveness leads to volatility, and then you're all of a sudden in a situation in a world of hurt like the New York Jets, like the Tennessee Titans. You don't want to make rash decisions, but you also obviously want to capitalize on what is a temporary window of Lamar Jackson, one of the all-time greats, being in his prime. Okay, there's a delicate balance between the two, and I think we all can do a better job of at least staying mindful of that, remaining mindful. We can be frustrated. We can be pissed off. We can take aim at the general manager, the head coach, the scouting departments, so on and so forth. But ultimately, you got to appreciate what you have. And what do you have? This year has been very inconsistent. And I understand why you probably are not appreciating very much with what's gone wrong this year. But for the better half of 8 years since Lamar was brought in and they built around him and they took a chance on him, the Ravens have been perennial favorites to not only contend, but win Super Bowls. And they've fallen short year after year after year. That's the reality of it. But there hasn't been that much volatility. Be mindful of that. Be mindful of their consistency. Be mindful of their steadfast approach to team building, which, yes, today has reared its ugly head in the form of underwhelming nature or inactivity. I'm not saying you're spoiled. I'm not saying that at all. I know that's an illegal word to use, is it not, around these parts? This episode is brought to you by my friends at Preston Automotive Group. And guys, at Preston, Bobby Baltimoreans and subscribers of mine get access to 2 exclusive offers. $500 towards a new or pre-owned vehicle, or when you buy 4 tires, you'll get 50% off your alignment. With over 2,000 vehicles to choose from, plus home delivery being available, you can find your next ride, and it's never been easier. PrestonMotor.com. The direct link is in the show notes below. It'll take you to the site that you're seeing up on my screen right now, where you can be reminded on this landing page of those 2 exclusive offers. You can reach out to Monica, the site operator, if you'd like to DM back and forth. You can also contact them easily by filling out this form right here, and pop on down to the available inventory section, where right now you can choose from 3,663 vehicles that are available to you. Break it all down category by category: price, vehicle condition, year, make, location, dealership, you name it. Cars cost less with Preston. You can get started today by visiting PrestonMotor.com. Scan the QR code that you see in the upper right-hand corner as of right now. I appreciate them. Well over 3,600 vehicles and counting to choose from. When you shop with Preston, you're joining a trusted team serving Baltimore and beyond. And I've been rolling around in the Bobby Baltimore Bronco now for 2+ years running. I appreciate their continued support of the program, and thank you guys for being with me tonight. OJ says, teams finding Puka Nacua and Amon-Ra in the late rounds. Meanwhile, we can't even get one of them as first-round picks. They've had plenty of diamonds in the rough in day 2 and day 3. Yes, they have struggled in recent years in the second round. Yes, they have struggled mightily to develop and cultivate and find talent at the outside linebacker position. But for every one of those misses, they have had a hit throughout the Eric DeCosta era. Let's not get lost in the sauce of frustration on what was an underwhelming day from a trade deadline perspective. 2020 Vision says missing on Quinnen Williams is unacceptable. It was never going to happen. Nightmare Kilo says the Rams in 2021 went all in and are still competing to this day. Come on, Bobby. The Ravens have no excuse. Nightmare, what happened after they won the Super Bowl? Did they stay consistent? Go look that up. Next Gen Retro says Femi's big mad. The chat's spitting facts. Femi's in here and he's competing with you guys. He's fired up. He's passionate about his team. And he's looking at it from all angles. I appreciate everybody for chiming in. No, don't be telling anybody to leave the live chat. I see you guys telling Femi to scram. Don't be doing that. Keymold says Bobby's a clown. Hey, Keymold, I bet you won't call in. Keymold, let's see you call in right now. I'll throw the chat line right now. Guest access is available to you right now. Just drop it into the live chat. I'll wait. Let's go. You know how it goes. You start talking shit in the live chat. Let's go. Got a lot of time. Collective starts in 2 hours and 20 minutes. And I got time for you, Keymold. Call in right now. Let me know why you think I'm a clown. Happy to have a conversation surrounding it. Make it happen. I'll star that shit and we'll come back to you in a second. Small boy, you're going to lay down. I know you are. Evan says, quote, "It was never going to happen" is not an excuse for missing on Quinn, and that's the problem. We don't go big when we need to. I agree. I feel like we already covered that earlier, right? It just wasn't going to happen. You know the Ravens front office, Evan. You know them better than most. Kemold, where you at, small little boy? I love you guys. I love the guys that come in here and they talk all a bunch of ish, and they're loud and noisy and they're barking. And ultimately, when push comes to shove, we turn those bright lights on, they lay down. That's what you do, Kemold. You lay down. Call in. Let's go. Giovanni Long says, "Bobby, you about to piss me off, not going to lie." About what? What am I pissing you off about? That's right, Point. Kemold, step up to the stage, champ. He ain't a champ. Let's go. Max wants to know why I'm calling people out like that, because nobody's safe when you walk into this chat. I promise you that. D-Rod says, "Why people get so bent out of shape about you?" I don't know. Actually, I'm sorry, D-Rod. I do know. Because guys like Kemold, PKB, Emporium from earlier this week, they got no moxie. They got no bend. They're the opposite of Mike. They got no moxie. So come on, Kemold. Everybody's looking at you, baby. You got what you wanted. You got what you wanted, my man. The stage is yours. Dre Dog thinks he's coming on. I'm waiting for Kemold. Let's go. Dre wants more. I know he wants more. Kemold, the lights are bright, baby. The stage is set. They got the red carpet for you right here. All the chat's talking about you. And you know where you went to? You went to irrelevancy, because that's what you are. You come into the live chat, you start talking out the side of your mouth, and I extend a personal invitation for you to come on this show with 2,100 concurrents, and you go to sleep. Now I know what your DNA is all about. Matter of fact, you don't have a DNA. Your DNE. Do not engage, little boy. Welcome back, Dre. Talk to me, brother.
Yo, me, Bobby.
No, I can't, but I can hear you, so go ahead.
Okay. All right, listen. Can we do this real quick? Let me just hit you with, since Lamar first round picks, okay? So Lamar Jackson and Hayden Hurst first round. Marquise Brown, who had a broken fucking foot, first round. Patrick Queen, who's no longer on the team and didn't peak until his last, maybe his second to last year on the team. Rashad Bateman, don't even get me started. Y'all already know how I feel about Bateman. I don't even need to get on that. Kyle Hamilton is a win. Zay Flowers, he's cool, but he can't beat press because he's 165, 70 pounds. He can't beat press.
That's a win. Zay's a win.
It's a win. We'll give it a win. Okay. Nate Wiggins, love Nate so far. He's looking good. Malachi Starks, I would have took Nick Eamon-Wari. So if the Ravens are so dead set on not trading first round picks, not trading these draft picks, where is the what would I say? We had three starters, and the names that I just named, three starters. Zay, four. Zay, Marquise, Lamar, and Kyle, right? Four fucking starters out of your first round picks in almost a decade. It has to stop, bro. It has to stop. It's not good. It is not good. And then the other caller that I forgot the brother's name, but he talked about how EDC and its scouting. Not only is it a scouting problem, but it's also a development problem. How often do we see the Ravens develop these guys into, if you don't come onto the Ravens team with a above average skill level, you usually don't get developed into that. You usually don't. So when you draft a guy like Adafe Owe, who had no fucking sacks coming out of college, you already are at a deficiency because you don't know how to develop players the right way. If the guys don't come out with A- ability, they don't succeed on this fucking team. So we're so concerned about these picks. But what are we doing? We got 4 starters in almost a decade worth of work. Almost a decade worth of picking, and we got 4? 4. And if you want to do a solid, the other list that I gave you, it was 4 on that list. So that means we got a total of 8. That means we only got 1 starter per year average on this team since 2018. Bro, it's got to stop, bro. EDC is not good. EDC feels good. He feels good. No homo, pause. He feels good to some of the fans. But what's going on is not good, bro. What more do I need to list? I can really, if you really go and look at these drafts that we've had since EDC has been here, it has not been stellar. I just told you we got 8 starters in 8 years. Look around the NFL, bro. Look around how some of these teams are drafting wide receivers and they're rookies and they're killing it.
Dre, thanks for the call, brother. Appreciate
All
you.
right, brother.
I know something struck a nerve on deadline day, baby. I have not seen you like this. Guys, it is really hard to hit on first-round picks consistently. And matter of fact, as the weekend goes on, right, into day 2 and day 3, Friday and Saturday respectively, it becomes even more of a coin flip when it comes to these prospects. The Ravens want to give themselves and stockpile as many picks as they possibly can to give their scouting department, which runs deep, many of whom have begun their NFL careers and gone on to general manager positions. Eric DaCosta being one of them as a homegrown Raven. Joe Ortiz being the latest example, going over to Los Angeles with Jim Harbaugh. Joe Douglas, so on and so forth. It's really difficult to play devil's advocate. It is really, really difficult. And you want to give yourself the best shot at giving your scouting department and your front office an opportunity to team build. And I recognize on a day like today, with all of that said, that it's difficult when you look at what they have currently slated for 2026 in April. I know it's hard to view this and know that they went quiet in the final few hours of the deadline. It's a hard pill to swallow. But that is in one way, and in a big way, that is one of the main components to staying consistent every single year. And I get it before you even say it. I know consistent isn't good enough for you guys, and nor should it be, because this team has been good enough to win the whole thing several years running now and have very little to show for it aside from regular season hardware. Omar Sherman says Rams only missed the playoffs because of injuries, Bobby, and made playoffs every year since being healthy. So you can't do that. The Ravens haven't had a ring in over 10 years. Dave says, for the fan base, love that we have some sharp dogs in this community. Makes me proud knowing I'm not the only mother effer seeing that EDC is garbage. Omar says, if so hard to hit, why not trade for a sure thing? Yes, Quinnen is a sure thing, but are we sure that there were a ton of sure things around there today? Sauce Gardner, sure thing. Quinnen Williams, sure thing. Jermaine Johnson may have been a sure thing. And I wonder if the Ravens were on the other end of some of those calls that the Jets were fielding. I do. Kevin Bonham Jr. says, since it's so hard to land talent, give them up for talent. What the F are you talking about, Bobby? I wasn't as much with Dre on the second call as I was the initial one. I thought he made some great points the first time through. But there are a lot of teams out there who struggle consistently to hit in the first round. A lot. I'm not saying that's an exception or an excuse for the Ravens. We also can't sit here and write off Malachi Starks through his first 8 games. 8 games where he probably wouldn't have played as much as he had, snap count-wise, had it not been for Ardarius Washington tearing his Achilles in a conditioning session prior to the season. There's an extension of all of this chatter happening right now as we speak in the Bobby Baltimore Discord server. It's a 24/7 hub for conversations surrounding Baltimore sports. And as you can see, there's a lot of dialogue, including multiple folks that are typing right now as we speak. Who's photoshopping Draymond Green to Dre'mont Jones? And people are also clipping me already. That can't be good. Guys, I would love for you to join the Discord server. There's over 1,000 members and counting. It's free to join. 24/7 hub for conversations surrounding Baltimore sports. I got to get ready for the collective. As much as I want to continue to dog walk Key Mold, who folded like a board, I got to get ready for the collective because we're going to have some great perspective from Jeff Zrebiec and Cole Jackson coming up at 8 o'clock. Key Mold, come on back tomorrow and man the fuck up and join the show. Until then, you're small and have absolutely zero DNA. You're not as hot as that brain thinks you are when you look back at yourself in the mirror on an hourly basis all throughout the day. And you don't have the moxie or the chops to put your real profile photo on your YouTube header. And so for that, folded like a board, baby. Oh, and boards do fold. Nobody folds like Key Mold. I know that. I'll catch up with you guys. Thanks to Preston Automotive Group for the continued support. Thanks to Femi for holding it down in the live chat, and for all of you for adding to the dialogue and discourse surrounding NFL trade deadline day. Ravens were active, maybe not active enough for a lot of your likings out there. Jeff Zrebiec's perspective, going to be stuff that you're not going to want to miss. Coming up tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern, inside the collective. Key Mold, think about who you are, who you want to be, and what you might be able to talk about and save face coming up tomorrow. Because right now, people are questioning your manhood, and that includes myself as well. KM, man, you're not who you think you are. This did not go the way you thought it would it? Did it? Woo, boy. Key Mold. Oh, boy, did I mold you into my own over the last couple minutes. One day you'll call in and stand tall. Or you'll fall flat like the little boy that you are. Catch up with you guys tonight, 8 o'clock inside the collective.